As I record this, it is 10 PM and I finished a game just 2 hours ago. Not Lumbermill, unfortunately. That might take a little longer. This one is called 1 Critical Minute and it was made in 48 hours. This is how.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the GMTK Game Jam. The theme is Only One.
Yep, I started by almost missing the category announcement. My immediate reaction to that was it was a pretty great theme. As this was my first game jam, I didn't really know what approach to take to actually plan a game so quickly, but I jumped straight in with a pen and paper to come up with ideas of what the only one part could refer to. These are the ideas I came up with. I got my family to tick the concept that sounded most interesting to them. The clear winner in this was minute or second, so I had a quick Google of only 1 minute to see whether anything like this had been made before. I found pretty much nothing, a couple of music videos, but absolutely nothing relating to games. As the jam focuses on originality, I thought that would be a decent starting point, so I got to work brainstorming ideas after settling on a computer hacking in 1 minute concept. I thought it would be cool to set the game in the late 80s, early 90s when the World Wide Web had just been invented. I also thought that if the game was based around a time limit, it might be cool to make a sort of hacking puzzle that relies on memory rather than sheer speed, so that it gets easier for the player each time they play. I couldn't hang around, so I decided to just take that idea and run with it. Once I'd planned out the sequence of the game, I whacked it on my wall and fired up Unity. I decided on the early 90s as it meant I could just make a command line style interface for the game and not have to worry too much about graphics. So the first step in that was to just go and download the first font I could find that seemed suitable. And when I got that into Unity, the problems began, barely a few minutes into development. Every time I tried to import the fonts, the entire program crashed. It turned out I was using an old version of Unity and switching it to the latest version solved that issue. I messed around a bit with the font to see how it looked and didn't wait long to jump into coding. Just something simple at first to get a bit of a command sequence working in the game. By 11:50 PM on Friday, I'd gotten a very basic command line working, taking input and comparing it to see if it matched a keyword and displaying the result. With that, I decided to get some sleep and leave the real development for the morning. Right, so first thing for the morning, I decided I didn't like the green of the font, so I switched it to yellow. Next, I made the text scroll as it's created on the screen, so that the latest output is always there for the player to see. That took a bit of faffing around on the Unity forums to get it working, but that was the last thing I really needed to do before setting up all the game sequence. With the sequence all done, by 2 PM I was ready to get to work on some graphics. Although I love pixel art, I decided to take a break and go for vector graphics for this game. They're often faster to make and I just felt like a change. The game has a notebook which contains some info on key characters, which the player can use in their hacking. The little section in the top left still needed filling and knew I wasn't going to be able to draw portraits for each of the characters in time, so I made a fake presidential seal instead. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention you're hacking the White House to stop a missile from detonating. That's important. I thought it would be funny to use a pigeon rather than an eagle because why not? It's my game. I finished that up by making the first page, which has the basic login details all players need to start the game. I whacked the book into the game project in Unity and made a little button so the player has a way of opening the notebook. Now, you didn't think I was just going to leave it as a black screen with text on it, did you? I mean, you did see the game at the beginning of the video, but pretend you didn't. I spent a few hours designing an environment for the game, which is centered around an old-fashioned computer screen. Next I added a poster in the background. I'm really pleased how this turned out, somehow much more accurate to classic 80s film posters than I was expecting. Once I'd added everything to the project, by the end of Saturday, this is how the game was looking. Sunday was submission day. I'd pretty much finished up the bulk of the gameplay and most of the graphic design, but still had quite a few things to add, so I started with the main menu. I just made it display on the computer screen as I thought that would look cool and also save time. Win-win.
That is so cute!
After being sidetracked, I thought I'd also add an old style screen turning off animation. It's kinda hard to describe, but this is the kind of thing I was going for. This is what I ended up with. I mean, after I fixed the animation, this is what I ended up with. Next, I moved on to the end screen, which is just a plain black or white screen depending on whether you beat the game or failed. I'd been thinking about the soundtrack quite a lot and thought it would be cool to have it be exactly a minute long with the tempo building before a knock on the door at the end from the police or FBI or whatever. Here's just a time lapse of me making the music with the music in the background. It was 3 PM on Sunday by this point, and I had just 5 hours left to polish the game up. Among the things I did with those 5 hours was design a second poster to go behind the computer. I eventually decided it didn't look that good with the two of them and seemed a bit busy, so I left it out. I also tried my hand at Foley recording, set my mic up and rustled some pages for the page turns, but didn't like the result, so also left that out. After fixing some bugs and polishing the gameplay, I finally let Unity do its thing and build the game. While it did that, I designed the game thumbnail for the itch.io page. I released the game on itch.io at 7:36 PM, with just 24 minutes left to go. At least it was 24 minutes until we crashed the website. The 48-hour game jam became a 50-hour game jam, which was frustrating but also funny at the same time. Anyway, it would be awesome if you could play the game and give it a rating over on itch. It was super fun to make and I think it's pretty fun to play. It's a long shot, but it would be amazing for me in this channel to make top 20 and get promoted by GMTK. I've left the link to the game in the description where you can play it in your browser. Failing that, it was a great experience and definitely worth taking part. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, do remember to subscribe and I shall see you next time.